Asbury Hall sat on a small triangular lot, the far southwest corner of Northwestern's campus in Evanston. It was ugly, crumbling, and paint-splotched, century-old Gothic monstrosity. It was my home for 4 years. When I first set eyes on the place as a callow freshman back in the fall of 1971, I almost turned tail and ran. I mean, this dump is where I'm supposed to live. Fortunately, I quickly bonded with several of my new dorm mates, who were known as the Asbury Razzberry. With just 35 residents, Asbury was the smallest male dorm on campus, and this fostered a strong sense of camaraderie. Asbury was like a frat house, but without the snobbery or the rituals. The building sported a rickety metal grate fire escape in back, and it was this venue that often served as ground zero for Razzberry foolishness. This errant behavior included underage drinking, the sharing of various illicit substances, lighting bonfires in an old wash tub, all of which I eagerly joined in on. But the most common fire escape foolishness was hurling various objects off its fourth floor landing onto the street below. Pizza boxes, old shoes, empty beer cans, the occasional watermelon. Almost anything might be thrown, usually late at night. We realized that this behavior was juvenile at best, but that didn't deter us. Throwing stuff off that perch was cathartic. Whatever the source of my angst, botched exam, girl problem, poor outing on the basketball court, or questioning what the hell I was doing in college at all, hurling things off that fire escape always seemed to get me back on an even keel. But it wasn't just emotional release that throwing shit off that fire escape gave us. It was a jolt of what I like to call the Asbury Razzberry spirit, a collective force that somehow empowered us to reject the mundane or the expected and reach for something more. In June of 1975, my Asbury Hall residency came to an end when I graduated with a degree in journalism. And it was a tough time to be seeking a job in that field. As newspapers around the nation were scaling back and cutting staff. I got just one offer from a small suburban paper in nearby Deerfield. They told me I'd be covering city council meetings. Deerfield city council meetings. That didn't sound very appealing. After agonizing a bit, it was a job after all, I politely declined. I wanted something challenging, something exciting, something more. But I didn't know what that was or where to find it. I just knew that I didn't want to settle for the conventional, for the mundane, for the expected. I mean, I was a goddamn Asbury Razzberry. I spent the summer hitchhiking around the country with a backpack, hoping for some kind of epiphany, some revelation to help me chart a way forward. In late September, out of money and feeling rootless, I returned to Evanston. I moved into a tiny basement apartment near campus and found employment waiting tables at a local steakhouse. It was a jarring transition. I went from a period of freewheeling adventure to humdrum daily grind, working for tips, living in a dungeon. I hadn't had that epiphany. I felt like a ghost in an Edgar Allan Poe story, listening to a ticking time clock that kept on getting louder. Lying in bed at night, I'd sometimes stare at the ceiling and ask myself, what now? What the fuck now? More than a year went by. By then, most of my classmates had moved on and begun real-world lives and careers, yet here I was, stuck in neutral. Every so often, I'd drop by Asbury, which always boosted my spirits, especially if some fire escape mayhem was underway. There's nothing like a good old watermelon toss to lighten your load. Several of the Razzberries enjoyed hearing tales of my travel experiences from that summer, and I liked recounting them. This inspired me to enter a writing contest that one of the guys had heard about, held by a magazine publisher based in Tennessee. I wrote up an account of my freight hopping adventure from that summer, sent it in, and promptly forgot about it. A few months later, they called and told me I'd won first place. The prize was $1,000 in publication in one of their magazines. I was flabbergasted. But that wasn't all. Later that fall, they invited me to join the staff as a full-time feature writer. Was I interested? Yes! I almost shouted into the phone. It seemed that all my wanderings and the support of my Razzberry brothers had steered me in the right direction after all. Around this time, word spread that Asbury Hall was going to be torn down and the lot to be paved over for campus parking. Asbury residents and alumni were all crestfallen by this news. And my own emotions were jumbled. I was experiencing an exciting new beginning and a sudden sad ending at the same time. I spent the day before my departure cramming everything I owned into my battered old Volkswagen. But I couldn't fit in my TV. Now this wasn't a sleek flat screen like today's TVs. This was a bulky vintage Zenith that I bought used for all of $5. This was a fucking piece of furniture. I tried giving it away, but nobody wanted it. My friend Bob, also an Asbury alum living in Evanston, suggested there was only one thing left to do. Any guesses? Hurl it off the fire escape! A fitting last hurrah for me and for Asbury Hall. We planned the operation like a bank heist. Bob and I would do the actual TV toss. His girlfriend Annette would drive the getaway car. Fellow Razzberries Ed and Dave would serve as lookouts in the street. When the coast was clear, Ed, a voice major at Northwestern, would begin singing Amazing Grace in his brooding operatic baritone. At the stroke of midnight, Bob and I ascended the fire escape with the TV. The wait at the top was interminable. Finally, the sound of Ed belting out Amazing Grace cut through the stillness. On the count of three, we tossed the heavy TV. There was an ethereal, timeless interlude where it seemed to float weightlessly like a satellite in space. Then a phosphorescent flash lit up the night as the TV's picture tube exploded on impact. This was accompanied by the loudest boom I'd ever heard, and the television shattered into 1,000 pieces. Well, page 5 doesn't seem to be here. I'm gonna go get it. That was planned. Okay. A surge of adrenaline coursed through my body. I felt like Robert Oppenheimer must have, witnessing the first atomic bomb blast in the world. Bob and I practically flew down the fire escape. We dove into the getaway car, and the net peeled out. Lights came on the windows all around us for blocks. We interrupted a lot of sleep that night. The next day, I bid my friends farewell and headed off to Tennessee. As for Asbury Hall, at the end of the school year, the building was gutted and the windows boarded up. But the wrecking ball never came. The university sold Asbury to a local developer who converted it into a boutique office building. Today, the refurbished Asbury Hall houses lawyers, accountants, therapists, and a yoga studio. I like to think that our late night TV toss played some cosmic role in the building's salvation. And I credit the upturn in my life back then, at least in part, to the rowdy Asbury Razzberry spirit that gave me the strength to shake off doubt and the confidence to reject the conventional and seek out a more adventurous path. I've followed that path in all the years since. I've also kept in touch with several of the Asbury Razzberries. We get together in various combinations almost every year. And yes, every once in a while, a watermelon might be involved.